The 5 a.m. Habit, written and published by Stoic Ranger. Introduction. There's something magical about the early hours of the morning before the world wakes, before the noise starts, before the distractions creep in. At 5 a.m., the air feels fresher, the mind feels quieter, and your soul is more open to receiving the words that can shape your destiny. If you speak the right words into your morning, you're not just setting the tone for your day, you're programming your mind to live with clarity, courage, and purpose. This is not about empty motivation. It's about building a habit that reshapes your life from the inside out. In this script, I'll give you 7 powerful affirmations and thoughts to say to yourself every morning at 5 a.m. Each one is designed to set your mind, body, and soul into alignment, so you can meet the day with strength and vision. Speak them with intention and watch your life transform. 1. I am in control of my mind, and my mind shapes my life. The very first thought you place into your mind at the break of dawn is like planting a seed in the most fertile soil you'll ever have. And that seed, if chosen wisely, will grow into the mindset that guides the rest of your day. When the clock hits 5 a.m., the world is still quiet. Your phone hasn't yet started buzzing, the demands of work haven't yet piled up, and the outside noise hasn't yet invaded your mental space. This is the moment when your mind is at its purest, untouched, unpolluted, and open to direction. And in this stillness, you hold the power to tell your mind exactly what you want it to believe. When you say to yourself, I am in control of my mind, you are reminding yourself of one of the greatest truths in life, that while you cannot always control what happens to you, you can always control how you think about it, and that alone can change everything. Your mind is the lens through which you see the world, and if that lens is clouded with fear, negativity, or self-doubt, every experience will feel darker and heavier than it really is. But if you train your mind to seek clarity, solutions, and opportunities, even the hardest challenges will feel like stepping stones instead of roadblocks. Think about it. Your mind can be your most loyal servant, faithfully carrying out your commands and helping you achieve your goals, or it can be your most dangerous master, pulling you into patterns of procrastination, anxiety, and defeat. And the difference between the two is not chance, it's choice. The early hours of the morning are when this choice matters most, because the first thoughts you entertain will set the emotional tone for everything that follows. When you declare control over your mind at 5 a.m., you are not just making a statement, you are taking back ownership of your emotions, your decisions, and ultimately, your life. You stop living reactively, tossed around by the moods and actions of others, and start living deliberately with intention. You decide what thoughts deserve space in your head, and you protect that space like a sacred garden. Most people roll out of bed and immediately hand over their mental control to the outside world. They check their phones, read the news, scroll through social media, and let the flood of other people's opinions, complaints, and problems dictate their mood. By the time they've had breakfast, their minds are already cluttered, distracted, and weighed down. But not you. You have made a different choice. You have chosen to plant powerful, positive, and clear thoughts before the world has a chance to interfere. By saying, I am in control of my mind, and my mind shapes my life at the start of each day, you are building a mental shield. You are programming your subconscious to filter out negativity and focus only on what serves your growth. And as the days turn into weeks, and the weeks into months, this simple daily habit will become a force that shapes not just your mornings, but your entire destiny. From this moment forward, the day does not control you, you control the day. 2. Today, I choose growth over comfort. Every single morning, you are presented with a quiet but powerful choice, a choice so simple that most people don't even notice they're making it. Will you choose comfort or will you choose growth? At 5 a.m., the answer to that question shapes everything that follows in your day. Comfort is seductive. It's the soft pillow that tells you to stay in bed for just 5 more minutes. It's the warm blanket of routine that keeps you safe, but also keeps you stuck. It's the easy path where you don't have to stretch, risk, or challenge yourself. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it slowly steals your potential without you even realizing it. Growth, on the other hand, is often uncomfortable. It asks you to wake up earlier than most people, to face challenges you'd rather avoid, to push your limits when your body and mind are telling you to stop. Growth is that extra set at the gym when your muscles are burning. It's opening the book instead of scrolling through your phone. It's starting that business, making that call, writing that page, learning that skill even when you don't feel like it. Growth feels difficult now, but it rewards you later with a life most people only dream about. When you wake up at 5 a.m. and say to yourself, "Today, I choose growth over comfort," you are making a promise to your future self. You are telling the person you will become tomorrow, next week, next year, that you are willing to endure temporary discomfort in exchange for long-term strength, wisdom, and success. Think about the people you admire: athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders, creators. None of them got there by choosing what felt easy in the moment. They trained when others slept. They worked when others complained. They took the hard road when the easy one was right there in front of them. And because they chose growth over comfort, they built lives of extraordinary achievement. The truth is, every great opportunity you'll ever have hides behind some form of discomfort. That's why so few people seize them. Most people will choose to stay in their warm bed instead of running in the cold morning air. They'll choose another episode on Netflix instead of working on their dreams. They'll choose to avoid difficult conversations instead of fixing broken relationships. They'll choose comfort and then wonder why nothing changes. But when you choose growth, even when it feels hard, you start building a new identity. You see yourself as someone who doesn't back down when things get tough. You trust yourself more because you've proven that you can rely on your own discipline. That trust builds confidence, and that confidence turns into momentum. And here's the secret: the more often you choose growth, the less uncomfortable it feels. What once seemed hard will eventually become your new normal. Waking up early becomes natural. Exercising becomes enjoyable. Working on your dreams becomes exciting. And before you know it, your entire life looks different, not because you had a lucky break, but because you made 1,000 small, deliberate choices to grow instead of settle. So tomorrow morning, when your alarm rings at 5 a.m. and comfort whispers for you to stay in bed, remember the promise you made to yourself. Remember that comfort will give you nothing but more of the same, while growth will give you everything you've ever wanted. And when you choose growth, day after day, the life you once thought was impossible becomes your reality. 3. I am grateful for what I have and excited for what's to come. Gratitude is one of the most transformative forces you can invite into your life, and there's no better time to practice it than in the quiet stillness of 5 a.m. The early morning is when your mind is like a calm, undisturbed lake, and whatever you drop into it creates ripples that reach every corner of your day. By choosing to drop gratitude into that lake, you create ripples of joy, peace, and resilience that carry you through whatever challenges lie ahead. When you say to yourself, "I am grateful for what I have," you are training your mind to focus on abundance instead of lack. Too often, we wake up thinking about what we don't have, what we haven't achieved, what's missing, or what's wrong. And without realizing it, that mindset becomes the filter through which we see the rest of the day. But when you intentionally start your morning with gratitude, you shift the lens entirely. Suddenly, You see the blessings that were always there but often overlooked, the steady rhythm of your heartbeat, the breath that fills your lungs, the comfort of a bed you woke up in, the roof over your head, the people who care about you, the opportunities that still lie ahead. Gratitude isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing that even in imperfection, there is beauty. Even in challenges, there are lessons. Even in pain, there are opportunities for growth. This perspective doesn't ignore reality. It transforms it. And science backs it up. Studies show that practicing gratitude regularly can rewire your brain, making you more optimistic, less stressed, and more resilient in the face of hardship. But gratitude alone isn't enough. You also need excitement for what's to come, for the chapters of your life that haven't been written yet. When you say, "I am excited for what's to come," you are telling your mind and your heart to lean forward into the future instead of looking back with regret or fear. You are training yourself to wake up with curiosity, to expect that life has something good in store for you today, even if you can't see it yet. This combination, gratitude for the present and excitement for the future, creates a powerful emotional state. Gratitude roots you in peace, while excitement pulls you forward with energy. It's like standing on solid ground while having the wind of opportunity at your back. You are steady, but you are also moving. Most people miss this balance. Some are grateful but complacent, so they never push forward. Others are ambitious but ungrateful, so they live in constant dissatisfaction. But when you hold both gratitude and excitement together, you live in the sweet spot where happiness and progress meet. And here's why 5 a.m. is the perfect time to do this. The world hasn't yet had a chance to pull your attention in 100 different directions. There are no distractions, no competing voices, just you, your thoughts, and the rising light of a new day. This is the hour where you can program your emotions intentionally, when you fill your mind with gratitude and excitement before anything else. You give yourself an unshakable foundation. Even if the day throws unexpected challenges your way, you'll handle them with a steady heart and a hopeful spirit. So tomorrow, when you wake at 5 a.m., take a few minutes to say it slowly and with meaning. I am grateful for what I have and excited for what's to come. Picture the things you're thankful for. Feel them. Then imagine the life you're building, the opportunities you're working toward, the moments you haven't yet lived but are on their way to you. Let this mix of peace and anticipation fill you completely. Because when you start the day this way, no matter what happens, you've already won. 4. I have everything I need to create the life I want. One of the biggest reasons people fail to move forward in life is because they believe they're missing something essential. They tell themselves, "I'll start when I have more money. I'll take action when I have the right connections. I'll pursue my dream when I feel more confident, when I have the perfect plan, when the timing is right." But the truth is, this mindset is a trap. Waiting for the perfect set of circumstances is how years pass by while nothing changes. At 5 a.m., when the world is still and your mind is open, you have the perfect opportunity to break this trap by reminding yourself, "I already have everything I need to create the life I want." This isn't just blind optimism, it's a fact. You have a mind that can think, a body that can act, and a spirit that can persist. You have the ability to learn new skills, to adapt to challenges, to find creative solutions when resources are limited. That's all anyone needs to start. When you believe you already have enough to begin, you stop making excuses and start making moves. History is full of people who built extraordinary lives, starting with nothing, no wealth, no fame, no special privileges. What they did have was resourcefulness, determination, and the courage to use what was available to them. They understood that while resources are helpful, resourcefulness is far more powerful. Think of it this way. A skilled sailor can navigate with any boat, but an inexperienced sailor will sink even the finest ship. Your life works the same way. Your results are not determined by the tools you have, but by how well you use them. This mindset turns obstacles into challenges and challenges into opportunities. When you tell yourself at 5 a.m., "I have everything I need to create the life I want," you take back your power from the excuses that have been holding you hostage. You stop blaming your environment, your past, or your circumstances, and you start focusing on the only thing you can truly control: your actions. You realize that even if you don't know everything right now, you can learn. Even if you don't have all the answers today, you can find them. Even if you've failed before, you can get up and try again. This affirmation also unlocks creativity. When you believe you have enough, you start looking for ways to use what you already possess more effectively. That idea you've been sitting on suddenly becomes a plan. That skill you've been ignoring suddenly becomes a tool. That connection you overlooked suddenly becomes an opportunity. You begin to see potential where before you saw only limitation. And here's the beauty of this truth. The moment you stop waiting for everything to be perfect is the moment you start building momentum. Perfection is not the starting point. It's the result of starting and refining along the way. Every great journey begins with imperfect steps, and the sooner you take them, the sooner you grow into the person who can handle bigger and better things. When you step into the day with this mindset, you walk differently. You stop saying, "I can't," and start asking, "How can I?" You stop feeling like a victim of life and start behaving like the author of your own story. You stop seeing yourself as lacking and start seeing yourself as equipped. And the truth is, that's exactly what you are: equipped, capable, ready. So tomorrow at 5 a.m., before the weight of the world tries to convince you otherwise, look in the mirror and say it with conviction: "I have everything I need to create the life I want." Because once you believe it, you'll start living like it, and when you live like it, the world responds in ways you never imagined. 5. I am stronger than my doubts and braver than my fears. Every morning, before the world even begins to test you, your own mind will often be the first challenger you face. Doubt whispers in your ear, planting seeds of hesitation. What if I'm not good enough? What if I fail? What if they judge me? Fear adds its own voice, warning you of risks, magnifying the possibility of pain, and convincing you that staying safe is better than moving forward. If you're not careful, these thoughts can take root and grow until they quietly run your entire life. That's why at 5 a.m., before those voices gain strength, you must declare to yourself, "I am stronger than my doubts and braver than my fears." This is not a denial that doubts and fears exist. It's an acknowledgement that they are real, but they do not control you. It's a reminder that you are the one holding the steering wheel, not the insecurities trying to grab it from you. Here's the truth. Courage is not the absence of fear. People often believe that the fearless are the ones who accomplish great things, but that's not true. The most remarkable achievers, the ones who inspire the world, often feel fear, just like everyone else. The difference is, they choose to act anyway. They move forward with the fear instead of waiting for it to disappear. If you wait to feel completely ready before you start, you'll never begin. Doubt is the same way. It feeds on inaction. The longer you hesitate, the stronger your doubts become. But when you take action despite uncertainty, you weaken doubt's hold on you. You prove to yourself that you can survive discomfort, that you can adapt when things don't go perfectly, and that you are capable of more than your mind initially believes. Every time you do something your doubts said you couldn't, you push the limits of what you believe is possible for yourself. When you repeat this affirmation at 5 a.m., you're programming your mind to step into challenges instead of shrinking from them. You begin to notice the way fear tries to disguise itself as being practical or waiting for the right time. You recognize that while fear feels protective, it can also be a cage. And cages, no matter how safe they seem, are still prisons. Bravery, in the daily sense, doesn't always mean fighting dragons or climbing mountains. Sometimes it's sending that message you've been avoiding, speaking up for yourself in a meeting, asking for help, or admitting you were wrong. Sometimes it's starting that business, changing your habits, or having the courage to walk away from what's hurting you. Bravery is the quiet, consistent choice to keep going, even when the path is uncertain. The beautiful thing about courage is that it's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. At first, pushing through fear might feel almost impossible. Your hands might shake, your voice might tremble, your thoughts might race. But over time, you'll notice that it takes more and more to scare you. Situations that once intimidated you will become effortless. The fears that once paralyzed you will shrink to the point where they barely matter. And as for doubt, the best antidote is proof. Proof that you can take action, that you can survive mistakes, that you can adapt and overcome. Every small victory you create for yourself becomes evidence that you can trust your own strength. And soon, your self-belief will be louder than your doubt, and your courage will be stronger than your fear. So when the alarm rings at 5 a.m., before the day tries to tell you what you can or cannot do, remind yourself of this truth. I am stronger than my doubts and braver than my fears. Say it with certainty, even if you don't fully feel it yet. Because every time you declare it, you're teaching your mind to believe it, and when your mind believes it, your actions will follow. Over time, this belief will become your reality. 6. My actions today will shape my tomorrow. When you wake at 5 a.m., you are standing at the gateway to a brand new day, a day that has never existed before and will never exist again. It is a clean page, a fresh canvas, a blank chapter waiting for you to decide what will be written on it. In this quiet, sacred hour, the world is still asleep, and you are face to face with the truth that can change everything. What you do today will echo into your tomorrow. It's easy to forget this truth. Life moves fast, and we tend to live as if our days are disposable, as if we have an endless supply of them, as if what we do today can be erased or replaced with no consequence. We tell ourselves we'll start tomorrow, or next week, or next year. We believe we have time. But time is the most precious currency you will ever possess, and once a day is gone, it can never be returned to you. Every day is a seed. The choices you make, the effort you give, the habits you practice, all of them are planting something in the soil of your future. You might not see the results instantly, just as you don't see a seed sprout the moment it's buried. But over time, the life you live will be the harvest of the seeds you planted through your daily actions. If you spend today in laziness, avoidance, and distraction, your future will reflect that. It will show up as missed opportunities, weaker skills, less resilience, and a life that feels stagnant. But if you spend today with intention, learning, building, moving, acting, your future will show up in strength, abundance, and growth. The equation is simple. What you sow, you will reap. This is why 5 a.m. matters so much. Waking up early gives you an edge, not because of the hour itself, but because of what it symbolizes. At 5 a.m., you are making a statement to yourself and to life. I am not waiting for change to find me. I am creating it. The stillness of the early morning is your training ground, a place where you can focus on what truly matters before the noise of the day tries to pull you in 100 directions. Think about the way most people start their mornings. They wake up late, rush through breakfast or skip it entirely, grab their phone, check their notifications, and allow the day to dictate their mood before they've even had a chance to set it themselves. By the time they get a moment to think, They're already in reaction mode, putting out fires, answering to other people's demands, and doing whatever feels urgent instead of what's important. But when you wake at 5 a.m. and start with the mindset, "My actions today will shape my tomorrow," you flip the script. You begin the day in control, not on defense. You decide what the most important actions are, and you do them before distractions can steal your focus. You treat your time like an investment rather than something to be spent carelessly. And here's where it gets even more powerful. Small actions, repeated consistently, create massive change over time. Many people overestimate what they can do in a day, but underestimate what they can do in a year. Waking up early to write just 1 page a day might seem insignificant, but in a year, that's an entire book. Reading for 30 minutes each morning might feel small, but over time, you'll have absorbed the knowledge that can completely transform your career, relationships, and personal growth. Exercising each morning might feel like a minor habit, but in a year, you'll not only be physically stronger, you'll have built the discipline that spills over into every area of your life. This truth works in the opposite direction too. Skipping your goals, just for today, seems harmless in the moment, but if that choice becomes a habit, it compounds into regret. Procrastination is nothing more than borrowing happiness from today while stealing success from tomorrow. Every time you choose not to act, you're letting your future self pay the price. If you want a better tomorrow, more freedom, more opportunities, more peace, you have to earn it today. That doesn't mean you have to overhaul your entire life in one day. It means you focus on doing something today, no matter how small, that moves you forward. Progress is rarely about giant leaps. It's about steady steps in the right direction. To live with this mindset, you must become intentional about your mornings. At 5 a.m., when your energy and willpower are at their peak, ask yourself, what can I do today that my future self will thank me for? Maybe it's finishing that chapter in the book you've been putting off. Maybe it's sending the email you've been avoiding. Maybe it's working out, preparing healthy meals, meditating, or practicing a skill. Whatever it is, do it with the awareness that you are building your tomorrow. This way of thinking changes the way you see each day. You no longer feel like your life is something that just happens to you. You realize it's something you create. You stop waiting for a lucky break and start creating the conditions for luck to find you. You stop blaming the past and start designing the future. And let's be clear, there will be days when you don't feel like it. Days when you're tired, discouraged, or tempted to take it easy. On those days, this affirmation becomes even more important. Saying, "My actions today will shape my tomorrow," reminds you that even on difficult days, even when the results aren't visible yet, you're still planting seeds. And those seeds will grow as long as you keep showing up to water them. It also helps you make better decisions in the moment. When you're about to waste time on something meaningless, you'll pause and ask, is this helping the tomorrow I want to create? If the answer is no, you'll naturally start making choices that align with your vision. Over time, this builds a sense of integrity with yourself. You trust your own word because your actions match your intentions. You'll also find that living this way brings peace of mind. So many people are anxious about the future because deep down, they know they're not doing enough today to influence it. But when you wake early, take meaningful action, and consistently invest in your goals, that anxiety begins to fade. You sleep better at night knowing you've done your part. And the truth is, this mindset applies to every area of your life: your health, your finances, your relationships, your skills, your character. If you want better health tomorrow, you start by eating well and exercising today. If you want more financial security tomorrow, you start by managing your money and learning new income skills today. If you want deeper relationships tomorrow, you start by making time for connection and communication today. The compound effect of this is life-changing. One day of meaningful action might not transform your life, but hundreds of days, stacked one on top of the other, absolutely will. This is how people go from struggling to thriving, not in one giant leap, but in countless small steps, taken daily with purpose. So when you wake at 5 a.m., don't think of it as just another morning. Think of it as the starting line for your future. Say it slowly, clearly, and with conviction. My actions today will shape my tomorrow. Let it sink in. Let it guide your choices for the next 24 hours. And then, tomorrow morning, say it again and again, until it becomes second nature. Because the truth is, tomorrow will come, whether you prepare for it or not. The question is, will it be a tomorrow you've designed, or one you've drifted into by accident? The answer will always come down to what you choose to do today. 7. I am the author of my story, and today is a new page. When the alarm rings at 5 a.m. and you open your eyes, you are not simply waking up to another day, you are stepping into a brand new page of your life's story. This page has never been written before. It is blank, untouched, and waiting for you to decide what will fill it. No matter what happened yesterday, no matter what mistakes you made, no matter what challenges you faced, this page is yours to create. Far too many people forget this truth. They live each day as if the past has already written the ending. They carry yesterday's failures like heavy chains, dragging them into today. They replay old mistakes until the story in their head becomes one of defeat and limitation. They tell themselves, "This is just who I am. This is how my life is. This is all I can expect." And by believing that, they give away the pen, letting their past write their present, and letting their present dictate their future. But when you wake up and remind yourself, "I am the author of my story, and today is a new page," you take the pen back. You realize that while you cannot erase the pages already written, you have full control over what you write next. The past is not a prison unless you choose to lock yourself inside it. Think about it. The greatest novels, the most inspiring biographies, are not interesting because everything went perfectly. They are powerful because the characters faced struggles, made mistakes, and still found ways to rise. Your life is no different. The challenges you faced are not the end of your story. They are the chapters that make your transformation meaningful. Without the lows, the highs would have no depth. Without the setbacks, the comebacks wouldn't inspire anyone. The key is to understand that your past is not your identity. It's simply part of your journey. Every morning at 5 a.m., you have the opportunity to turn the page and begin again. The blankness of this new day is a gift. It is life's way of saying, "Here, try again." This is where intention matters. Too many people fill the pages of their life without thinking, letting each day be shaped by habits they never chose, routines they never questioned, and influences they never examined. But when you see yourself as the author, you stop living on autopilot. You start writing your days with purpose. You decide what values you will live by, what actions you will take, and what kind of story you will be proud to tell. And here's something important. Being the author of your story doesn't mean you can control every event in your life. Life will still throw you curveballs. People will still act in ways you can't predict. Challenges will still appear out of nowhere. But what you can control is how you respond, how you interpret what happens, and how you let those events shape you. That is the real power of authorship, not writing a story without difficulty, but writing one where difficulty becomes the turning point instead of the end. At 5 a.m., before the noise of the day begins, take a moment to picture yourself holding the pen of your life. Think about what you want today's page to look like. Will it be a page filled with action, where you move one step closer to your goals? Will it be a page filled with kindness, where you made someone's day better? Will it be a page of courage, where you finally faced something you've been avoiding? Or will it be a page of wasted hours, filled with distractions and regrets? You get to decide, and you decide with every choice you make. The beautiful thing is that you don't have to write the whole book today. You only have to write one good page, and if you write enough good pages, you will eventually have a great story. But here's where most people get stuck. They think they need to wait until they feel ready to start a new chapter. They wait for the perfect conditions, the perfect plan, the perfect mood. They tell themselves, "I'll change when the time is right." But the truth is, there is no right time, there is only the time you choose to act. If you wait for perfection, your pen will never touch the page. This is why the 5 a.m. habit is so powerful. When you wake early, you're not just getting extra time in your day, you're training yourself to be proactive, to act before life forces you to. You are saying, "I am not going to let this day be written for me by chance. I am going to write it myself." And yes, there will be days when the page feels heavy, days when you don't know what to write because life feels uncertain or overwhelming. On those days, it's okay to keep it simple. Write something small, a single act of progress, one moment of gratitude, one choice that aligns with your values. Even a short sentence written with intention is better than an entire page written without purpose. Over time, you'll see how these intentional pages start to shape your story. You'll look back and realize that the most pivotal moments weren't always the biggest events. They were the small daily choices you made at the beginning of each page. The decision to get up early, the decision to speak kindly, the decision to learn something new, the decision to act even when you were afraid. And here's something else to remember. Every page you write today becomes part of the story someone else will tell about you. Your actions, your words, your attitude, they all ripple out and influence the people around you. Your story isn't just for you. It becomes part of someone else's inspiration, someone else's lesson, someone else's reason to believe they can turn their own page too. So when you say, "I am the author of my story, and today is a new page," don't say it lightly. Say it with the awareness that you are shaping not only your life, but also the lives you touch. Say it with the commitment to write something today that will make your future self proud. If yesterday was a page filled with mistakes, write a better one today. If yesterday was a page filled with excuses, write one filled with action today. If yesterday was a page filled with fear, write one filled with courage today. And if yesterday was a page filled with pain, write one filled with healing today. Because no matter how the story began, you are holding the pen right now. And as long as you have the pen, the ending is still yours to write. So tomorrow at 5 a.m., when you rise before the sun, hold that truth close. This day is yours. This page is blank. What will you write on it? A story of wasted time or a story of meaningful progress? A story of drifting or a story of deliberate creation? The choice is in your hands, and the world will read what you write. The past may explain where you've been, but it does not dictate where you're going. The only thing that decides that is the page you write today. 8. I refuse to live today as a repeat of yesterday. When the alarm rings at 5 a.m. and your eyes open, you are not waking into a loop. You are waking into an entirely new day, a day that has never happened before, that holds possibilities you have not yet explored, and that offers you the choice to live differently than you did yesterday. But here's the problem. Most people will not treat it that way. They will wake up and step into the exact same mental patterns, the same habits, the same reactions, and the same limitations they had the day before. Not because they are incapable of change, but because they are unconsciously living yesterday on repeat. They wake up with yesterday's mood, yesterday's fears, yesterday's doubts, and yesterday's excuses already loaded into their minds before they even get out of bed. And without realizing it, they hand over this fresh new day to the same stale script they've been following for years. But you have the chance to break that cycle, and the first step is saying to yourself at 5 a.m., I refuse to live today as a repeat of yesterday. This isn't about denying your past. Your past has value. It holds lessons, memories, and experiences that have shaped who you are. But it was never meant to be a prison you relive over and over. The purpose of a lesson is to learn from it and move forward, not to carry it into every new day like a heavy stone in your pocket. Think about the truth behind this. Every morning, you are offered a reset. The sky resets. The sun rises again. Your body has gone through its nightly repair. Your mind has cleared space for new thoughts. Nature itself demonstrates renewal every single day. And yet, so many people ignore this gift. They wake up physically in a new day, but mentally, they are still stuck in the old one. Living each day as a repeat of yesterday is comfortable, it's predictable, it doesn't ask you to face uncertainty, but it also doesn't allow you to grow. It keeps you trapped in the same results, the same environment, and the same version of yourself, even if you secretly want more. And here's the truth. Nothing changes until you decide that yesterday is over and today is for something new. When you say at 5 a.m., I refuse to live today as a repeat of yesterday, you are making a promise to yourself to show up differently, to think differently, to choose differently, to speak and act in ways that your past self might not have had the courage or wisdom to do. This could mean finally tackling the tasks you've been avoiding. It could mean speaking up instead of staying silent. It could mean approaching a problem with curiosity instead of frustration. It could mean showing gratitude where before you took something for granted. The key is that you break at least one pattern that has been keeping you in the same loop. And here's where 5 a.m. gives you an advantage. When you wake before the rest of the world, your mind is not yet weighed down by yesterday's momentum. You have a small, precious window where your thoughts are like wet clay, still soft, still moldable. If you use that time to set the tone with this affirmation, you can shape the way the rest of your day unfolds. You can consciously choose to think a new thought, take a new action, or open yourself to a new possibility. The danger of not doing this is falling into autopilot. Autopilot living is when you wake up and the day feels like a blur. You do what you always do, go where you always go, think what you always think, and at night you collapse into bed wondering where the day went. It's a safe way to live, but it's also a slow way to die inside. Because deep down, you know you were meant for more than routines that go nowhere. Breaking this pattern doesn't mean you have to change everything overnight. It means you change something today that you didn't yesterday. It might be small, choosing to go for a run instead of hitting snooze, deciding to learn a new skill for 30 minutes, writing down ideas for a project you've been dreaming about, calling someone you've been meaning to reconnect with, or simply taking time to reflect instead of rushing. Small changes are powerful because they create momentum, and momentum builds transformation. But here's the truth that many avoid. Breaking yesterday's patterns often feels uncomfortable. Your brain likes routine, even if that routine isn't helping you, because it feels safe. The moment you do something new, your mind will try to pull you back into the familiar. That's when you have to stand firm in your affirmation, I refuse to live today as a repeat of yesterday. You are telling your mind that safety is not the goal, growth is. Every time you act on this belief, you prove to yourself that you are capable of change. And once you have proof, your confidence grows. You stop seeing yourself as someone stuck and start seeing yourself as someone evolving. You stop defining yourself by who you've been and start defining yourself by who you are becoming. And perhaps the most beautiful part of living this way is the sense of aliveness it gives you. When you step into a day knowing it will not be a carbon copy of the last, you feel anticipation. You wonder what new things you might learn, who you might meet, what ideas might come to you, and what opportunities might reveal themselves. Life stops feeling like a flat, endless road and starts feeling like an unfolding adventure. You can still honor the good parts of yesterday. You can still carry forward the wisdom you've gained. But you do not need to carry the weight of old regrets, the sting of old failures, or the heaviness of old fears. Those belong to pages already written. Today is a fresh page, and you get to write it differently. So when you wake tomorrow at 5 a.m., before the noise and demands of the day creep in, stand in the quiet and say it clearly: I refuse to live today as a repeat of yesterday. Feel what that means. Let it remind you that your habits, your thoughts, and your actions are choices, and that you can choose differently at any moment. Then, prove it to yourself. Do one thing today that your past self would not have done. Take one action that pushes you even slightly outside your usual limits. Speak one truth you've been holding back. Start one task you've been postponing. And when you go to bed tonight, you will know without a doubt that this day was not just another copy of the one before. If you live this way, if you refuse, day after day, to let your life become a loop, something incredible happens. Over time, the distance between who you were and who you are becoming grows wider. The person you are today will hardly recognize the person you were a year ago. And that's the point. Because life is not meant to be a single page read over and over again. It is meant to be a book filled with chapters, each one richer and more meaningful than the last. And you, holding the pen at 5 a.m., are the only one who can write it that way. 9. If I win the morning, I win the day. There's a simple truth that separates the people who live their days with clarity, energy, and purpose from those who spend their hours in a haze of distraction and frustration. They understand the power of the morning. The morning is not just the first part of your day, it's the foundation that determines how the rest of your day will unfold. And when you wake up at 5 a.m. and remind yourself, if I win the morning, I win the day, you are claiming control over that foundation before the world has a chance to shake it. The way you begin your day is like setting the trajectory of a rocket. A small adjustment at the start in the first minutes after waking can determine where you land hours later. If you begin the day in chaos, rushing, reacting and scrambling, that energy will follow you like a shadow. But if you begin with intention, discipline, and focus, that energy will also follow you, and it will carry you forward with momentum instead of dragging you backward. The problem for most people is that they start the day on defense. They wake up to an alarm they've already snoozed 3 times. They grab their phone and check messages, notifications, and news before they've even sat up in bed. They immediately immerse themselves in other people's demands, other people's problems, other people's priorities, leaving their own goals buried under a pile of noise. By the time they think about their own life, half the day is gone, and their energy is already depleted. Winning the morning is about doing the opposite. It's about starting the day on offense, deliberately setting the tone, protecting your focus, and taking actions that align with the life you want to live. It's about deciding, before anyone else has a say, how your day will go and who you will be in it. When you say, at 5 a.m., if I win the morning, I win the day, you're making a commitment to yourself that those first hours will be sacred. They will not be wasted. They will not be handed over to distractions. They will be used to set your mind, body, and spirit into alignment so you can move through the day with strength and clarity. And here's the truth. Winning the morning doesn't mean doing everything perfectly. It doesn't mean having some Instagram-worthy routine that takes hours. It means focusing on a few key actions that prime you for success, physically, mentally, and emotionally. It could be exercising to wake your body and boost your energy. It could be meditating or praying to center your mind and strengthen your spirit. It could be reviewing your goals to remind yourself of what matters most. It could be reading or learning something new to feed your mind before the world tries to distract it. It could be simply sitting in silence, reflecting on your intentions for the day. The point is not what you do, but that you do it with focus, with consistency, and without allowing outside noise to hijack your attention. And here's why this matters so much. The first victories of the day create a ripple effect. When you start the morning with discipline, it's easier to make disciplined choices later. When you start with clarity, it's harder for distractions to pull you off course. When you start with gratitude, it's harder for negativity to take root. Winning the morning gives you a kind of invisible armor that shields you from the chaos of the day. But the reverse is also true. If you lose the morning, if you begin in distraction, laziness, or reaction, it's much harder to turn the day around. You can still recover, of course, but it's like trying to swim upstream. The current of your early choices will keep pulling you back toward the energy you started with. That's why mastering the first hours of the day is so powerful. It's easier to maintain momentum than to constantly fight against it. Winning the morning also builds self-trust. Every time you get up at 5 a.m. and use the time wisely, you prove to yourself that your word means something. You told yourself you'd wake up early, and you did. You told yourself you'd focus on your goals before distractions, and you did. That consistency builds confidence, not the kind of confidence that comes from hype or motivation, but the quiet, unshakable confidence of knowing you can rely on yourself. It's worth remembering that mornings are often the only part of the day you truly control. Once the world wakes up, demands start flying at you from work, from family, from unexpected events. But at 5 a.m., those demands are silent. That time is yours, and if you protect it, it will pay you back in ways that echo through every other hour of the day. Some people will tell you they're not morning people, that they can be productive later in the day. And while it's true that everyone has their own natural rhythms, the reality is that waking early isn't just about productivity, it's about ownership. It's about taking a portion of the day before anyone else can claim it. It's about having uninterrupted time to think, to plan, to move your life forward without interference. And here's something else. The discipline of winning the morning often spills over into the rest of your life. If you can get up early and use those hours intentionally, you're more likely to eat better, work smarter, spend your time more wisely, and keep your commitments. The morning becomes your training ground for discipline in every other area. If you've never had a consistent early morning routine, it will feel hard at first. Your bed will feel warmer than ever. Your body will want more sleep. Your mind will try to convince you that you'll just start tomorrow. But every time you resist those urges and get up anyway, you're strengthening the muscle of discipline. And, like any muscle, the more you train it, the stronger it gets. Eventually, what was once a struggle will become your new normal. Imagine this. You wake at 5 a.m. Your environment is calm and your mind is clear. You move through your routine with purpose. You've already accomplished something meaningful before most people have even gotten out of bed. By the time the world starts moving, you're not just awake, you're ahead. You've already won the morning, and with it, you've set yourself up to win the day. And here's the real power. When you win enough mornings, you don't just win days, you win weeks, months, and years. Over time, those early victories compound into a life that looks completely different from the one you would have had if you'd spent those hours sleeping or scrolling. So tomorrow, when the alarm goes off and your first instinct is to hit snooze, remember this. Those first few minutes are your first battle of the day. And if you win that battle, if you get up, stay up, and use that time well, you've already set the tone for victory. Say it to yourself before your feet even hit the floor. If I win the morning, I win the day. Then go and prove it to yourself. Because mornings don't just set the tone for your day, they set the tone for your life. And every time you win them, you're not just waking up early. You're waking up to your potential. 9. If I win the morning, I win the day. Every day of your life begins with a small but decisive moment, the first few minutes after you wake up. In that fragile window, before the noise of the world seeps in, before your phone lights up with messages, before responsibilities start knocking at your mind, you hold in your hands the steering wheel for the entire day ahead. Most people don't realize it, but in those early moments, they are either setting themselves up for momentum and victory, or for distraction and drift. When you wake up at 5 a.m. and say to yourself, "If I win the morning, I win the day," you are acknowledging a truth that high achievers, great leaders, elite athletes, and peak performers have known for centuries. The way you begin sets the tone for everything that follows. It's like launching a rocket. A rocket's trajectory is determined in the first few seconds after it lifts off. Even the smallest shift in direction at the start can completely change where it lands. Your mornings work the same way. A rushed, chaotic, reactive morning sets a chaotic tone. A disciplined, intentional, purposeful morning sets a focused tone. The energy you create in those first hours doesn't just vanish, it follows you, quietly influencing every decision, reaction, and mood you have for the rest of the day. The problem is, most people don't win their mornings, they lose them before they even realize the day has begun. Here's how it usually happens. The alarm rings, and instead of rising, they hit snooze once, twice, maybe 3 times. Their first act of the day is breaking a promise they made to themselves the night before. By the time they get up, they're already behind. They grab their phone and immediately start scrolling, letting the world's noise, opinions, and negativity fill their mind before they've even thought about their own priorities. They rush through getting ready, grab whatever food is quick, or skip it entirely, and head out the door already feeling stressed. In less than an hour of being awake, their day has been hijacked. When you live like this, you're starting the day on defense, reacting instead of directing, responding instead of initiating, and the rest of the day will almost always follow that same reactive pattern. Winning the morning means flipping that script entirely. It means that when the alarm rings at 5 a.m., you rise not because it's easy, but because you've already decided that this is the most important appointment you will have all day. It means protecting your first hours from the noise of the outside world and using them to strengthen your mind, energize your body, and prepare your spirit. It means starting the day on offense, deciding the plays before the game begins. And here's the secret. Winning the morning is not about creating some overly complicated, Instagram-worthy, perfect routine. You don't have to fill every minute with productivity hacks. You just have to create a rhythm that aligns with your goals and values, then do it consistently. For some, winning the morning might mean starting with exercise to wake the body and flood it with energy. For others, it's meditation or prayer to center the mind and calm the heart. It might mean journaling to set intentions, reviewing goals to stay focused, or reading to feed the mind with ideas before the world distracts it. The specifics are yours to decide, but the common thread is that these actions are deliberate, intentional, and done before the rest of the world's noise takes over. When you start your day this way, something powerful happens. You begin building momentum before most people have even woken up. That momentum becomes an invisible advantage. The discipline you show in the early hours makes it easier to show discipline later. The clarity you create in the morning makes it harder for distractions to pull you off course. The gratitude, focus, and calm you cultivate before sunrise act like armor when the chaos of the day arrives. Winning the morning also builds an invaluable kind of self-trust. Every time you get up when you said you would, you prove to yourself that you can be relied upon. You keep a promise to yourself. And that quiet confidence, the kind that comes from living in integrity with your own word, carries into every other area of your life. But the reverse is also true. When you lose the morning, it's much harder to recover the day. You can try to turn things around later, but it's like trying to swim against a current. You're fighting the energy you set in motion at the start. That's why the 5 a.m. habit is so powerful. It's a clean break from the autopilot mornings most people live. It forces you to take ownership from the very first moment. There's another reason the morning matters so much. It's the only time of day that's truly yours. Once the world wakes up, the demands start: emails, calls, messages, responsibilities, problems that need solving. In the early hours, none of that has arrived yet. The phone is silent. The world is quiet. It's a space where you can think, plan, and work without interruption. If you don't protect that space, you lose one of the greatest opportunities you have to move your life forward. And yes, there will be resistance. Your body will tell you it's too early. Your mind will tell you it's too hard. Comfort will call you back to bed. But here's the truth. Every time you get up anyway, you are not just training yourself to wake early, you are training yourself to choose long-term growth over short-term comfort. You are strengthening the part of you that acts in alignment with your vision instead of your feelings. That's not just a morning skill, that's a life skill. Think about the difference this can make over time. Imagine two people. One wakes at 5 a.m. every day, uses the first 2 hours to exercise, learn, plan, and work on personal projects. The other wakes just in time to rush into the day, starting in a reactive state. At first, the difference between them is small, but over weeks, months, and years, the gap becomes enormous. The first person is healthier, sharper, more focused, and more in control of their life. The second is constantly trying to catch up. That's the compound effect of winning the morning. It doesn't just make the day better, it makes your life better. So how do you make this stick? You anchor it with your why. You don't just wake early because you should. You wake early because you know exactly what it gives you. Maybe it's the quiet to work on a dream before the world interrupts. Maybe it's the space to strengthen your mind and body. Maybe it's simply the peace of starting the day calm and clear instead of rushed and scattered. When your reason is strong, your commitment will be strong. And remember, winning the morning is not about perfection. Some days you'll feel unstoppable. Other days you'll be tired and distracted. That's normal. The point is not to be flawless, but to be consistent, to keep showing up, to make the morning a space where you repeatedly choose intention over autopilot. Eventually, you'll notice something incredible. The discipline and clarity you build in those early hours will start to bleed into the rest of your life. You'll eat better because you started the day strong. You'll work more effectively because you began the day with focus. You'll be calmer in challenges because you centered yourself before they arose. And on the days when life inevitably throws chaos your way, you'll be glad you started in control because that control will help you navigate whatever comes. So tomorrow, when the alarm rings at 5 a.m., remember this truth. Your first victory is simply getting up. Your second victory is using the morning intentionally. And if you win those victories, you've already set the tone to win the day. Say it before your feet even touch the floor. If I win the morning, I win the day. And then go prove it to yourself, not once, but over and over, until it's no longer just a belief, it's who you are. Because mornings don't just shape the day, they shape your life. And when you learn to win them, you'll discover you've been holding the key to long-term success all along. Every day you wake up at 5 a.m., you are not just rising earlier than most. You are taking control of the single most powerful resource you have, time. You are telling yourself, the world, and life itself that you refuse to drift through your days on autopilot. You are choosing to lead your day instead of letting your day lead you. You've learned that the morning is your launch pad. It's the place where you plant the first seeds of thought, action, and energy that will grow into the results you see in your life. Each of these lessons, from claiming control over your mind, to choosing growth over comfort, to stacking small daily wins, is a tool for building a stronger, wiser, more disciplined you. But here's the truth you must hold close. None of these lessons matter if they live only in your mind. They only transform you when you live them. The real change happens not when you listen, not when you agree, but when you act again and again, until the habit becomes part of who you are. You will have mornings when you feel unstoppable, when you wake before the alarm, and everything flows with ease. But you will also have mornings when the bed feels heavier than any weight you've ever lifted, when the idea of moving forward feels like climbing a mountain. On those days, your discipline must be stronger than your feelings. Because your future is shaped not by the days you feel like it, but by the days you do it anyway. One day, months from now, you will look back at yourself standing in this moment. You will see the version of you who decided to start waking early, who decided to claim the first hours of the day, who decided to stop waiting for change and start creating it. And you will realize that was the turning point. That was the day you picked up the pen and began writing a new chapter of your life. Remember this: the sun rises whether you are ready or not. The hours pass whether you use them or not. The question is, will you wake with the sun and use those hours to build the life you've been dreaming of, or will you watch another day slip through your fingers? Say it with conviction each morning: this day is mine to shape, and I will shape it well. Because if you own your mornings, you will own your days. And if you own enough days, you will own your life. The choice is yours, and it starts tomorrow at 5 a.m.